guys know one of those people that keep telling you, be realistic, look at the reality? Like you certainly know one of those people that are pain in the arse, right? Basically, I wanted to say today, screw reality. Like, screw it. Because the things I have learned, like, throughout my life, and especially recently about reality, is mind bending and it doesn't make any sense. Like, basically, the way we come into this world and the way we see reality has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with reality, right? There's one reality. Yeah, there's one reality. And that reality is when you sit down right now, you take your eyes off the screen or don't, that's fine. And you just sit and you're just present. And what I mean by that is you see things, you observe the life unfolding in front of you, the sounds, what's going on your screen right now, the plants next to you, the objects next to you, the furniture, how your body feels, the energy, how much energy you have, like the light. That is reality. That is reality. Many people say that reality is boring. When you like get your eyes off the screen once a while finally, and then you go out to get food. I don't know, to the kitchen, and then you're like, don't even pay attention because reality is so boring. But it actually isn't. Reality isn't actually boring. It's actually so filled with life that it's almost overwhelming to be with it. That's why we, people, humans, we cherry pick the things we want to focus on, the ideas, the romanticization, the perception we want to have, and we cherry pick that part of perception and life, and we call it reality when it's actually not. Actually, reality is everything. It's everything. It's nothing. It's what is life. It's what's unfolding right now. It's actually so filled with life, with movement, with pure chaos of existence. How can you call that boring? How can you call that boring? Just because you're ignorant to what's unfolding in front of you doesn't mean it's boring. When you sit your ass down, and you actually start paying attention to reality, there's actually so much to it. So much. Like, if you actually focus, for example, on one of your senses, like I personally spend a lot of time like just focusing on my senses, like for example, ears, like listening to things. Like, there's so much untapped signals that your brain doesn't pick up on. Like, try listening to music and actually focus on it, and try to listen to hidden notes, hidden instruments in the background. Like, you will start realizing how much things you miss out on in reality. Like, I started developing like this thing where I started to hear frequencies that other people weren't able to hear because I started paying so much attention to my senses. Like, when I was walking outside, I started hearing like the alarm from the cars, but not like the one that's activated, but I could just say which car had an alarm because I could hear that frequency, and other people couldn't. I was like, what is this noise, like this frequency? And they were like, what noise? I don't hear anything, And so it's like amazing how many things we truly miss out on in a reality, in day to day, you know? Um, so it's like crazy, right? So that frequency, you don't even hear it most of the time, but do you know how silence sound like? Do you know the frequency of silence? Those hidden frequencies? Just try it. You can develop it yourself. Just pay attention to the reality. Another thing I did was like focusing on my eyes, seeing more of reality. That's back in the era where I was trying to see auras, but actually I developed so much of hidden things that I wouldn't pay attention to normally, like seeing reflections, colors, prisms that aren't, people just don't freaking pay attention to that. They don't, like, they never even pay attention to what they actually see. And actually, I started having so much conspiracy theories because when I started focusing on my eyesight, I developed something called like visual snow, and that makes me feel like that's not an eye condition, it's just being able to see more, because it developed in my eyesight exactly at the time where I started developing my aura seeing skills. That's when I started, like working on that, basically training it in myself. And then suddenly I have visual snow, like from where? And you want to tell me that's random? You want to tell me that's a coincidence? I don't think so. I believe it's just seeing more signals. Your brain just is trained to receive and read into more signals. I started seeing like magnetic fields around objects and people, like I never truly went into that level of seeing colors easily. It usually took me a lot of effort, but I definitely see now, like with not much effort, like magnetic field around things, like people, especially people into, like interested in reality and so on, or, explorers, scientists, mystics, cult, whatever, like spiritual people, like we're so wrapped up into those ideas, those idealization into like what is reality, having those themes and concepts, like being interested in third eye and seeing more of things, more of reality, we're like obsessed with that idea, and it's so cool, and and we want it. But then just sit your ass down and see reality for what it is. Like, can you do that? Can you just open your eyes and like be able to like pay attention to things you don't usually pay attention to? Or do you just want everything to like be put in front of you on a golden plate and be like, oh, I have like abilities, I'm enlightened and whatever shit? Not, but like that's not how things work. Like, it's right in front of you. Just sit down, take your eyes off the screen and just look around you, just listen to things. You will start hearing frequencies that you never heard before in your life, not because they're not there or not because you didn't hear them, but because you just didn't freaking pay attention to it. You know how it is? Like, it's like, like when we look, it's like we cannot see our nose. It is there, like our eyes pick up that it's there, but they learned to ignore it. Our eyes or mind learned to ignore it because it is always there in our vision. That's exactly how it is in reality. Seeing more things, it's nothing like, oh, suddenly like you're opened up to like this whole thing of seeing colors and auras, and you see ghosts and spirits, whatever. Yes, that's the thing, but learn to see first the things that are right in front of you that you trained yourself to ignore to begin with. Because can you do that? Like, a lot of people want to know what reality is. Personally, me, I'm like obsessed with this concept of finding out what reality is, but like maybe we just have to accept that reality just is. It is raw. It doesn't have a purpose, but it has a meaning, it has a significance, but it doesn't have a purpose. It doesn't have a purpose. It just is. It has many dimensions. It has a structure. It has something to be understood about it. It has a meaning, but it has no purpose. There's no magical purpose behind it. What it is meant to be is just understood, but it's just there. It's raw. It's pure. You sit down and you let yourself soak in it, and you realize how raw it is. And what I realized is many people tend to miss out on the relationship between reality and us. Like, many people are like, I just want to see the reality, but they miss out on the fact that they exist. And what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, there's a reality, but there's also humans. And what are humans? Humans are literally channelers. Like, we are channels. We are channels for life. We have a body. We literally possess a body, like a spirit possesses a body, But we are not the body. We are not the body. But this body is a channel. We are channelers of reality. We are channelers of life. And what I noticed is that many people get into that stupid trap of being just like, oh, this is just the reality. No, it's not just the reality. Like, you're a channel, you're a radio. And the point I'm trying to say is that If you're a radio, yes, reality is the silence. You can just listen to the silence, but why listen to that silence, to that emptiness, if you can feel it with music? You can literally just play a music. You're a radio. Why wouldn't you listen to a music? Why would you sit in silence? Why would you just sit in emptiness if you're a channel, a radio that channels music, let's say, that's a metaphor, obviously, but why would you do that? Yes, we get it. Reality is emptiness, silence, an empty page. But we humans are channelers. So play the music, channel life, channel reality through your senses, through your body, through your consciousness. Learn to channel it because we are creators, we are channels, we are creators. And coexisting with reality as a channel, as a creator, is the most aligned way to live. Second of all, you're a radio, so play the music you want to hear, play the music that uplifts you. Stop playing the crap that is putting you down. But back to the point, fuck reality. Screw it, screw reality. There is so many realities. Like, I bet you, if you think about your life, you lived in multiple realities. It's not like since birth you were living in one reality. It's not based on circumstances, on you, on the phase of your development. You were living in multiple different realities, even in the same places, in the same school, in the same house, in the same family, in the same environment, people. You were living different realities. Like I bet you personally, like for me, it's like every stage of my life was a different reality, even though everything like seemingly was the same, but I was changing, my reality was changing. It was different when I was 7 years old, it was different when I was 14 years old. It was a different person, a different era, a different reality, a different environment, a different perception. There's multiple realities. I just simply refuse to accept the reality in quotes because there's no one reality. I refuse to sit and accept the silence and accept the people saying that I have to channel the same reality they are channeling. And honestly, the more I learn about reality, the more I see it, the more I observe it, the more I learn about it, the more I realize that it's a mold. It is literally a mold. It changes within every second. And the more you change, the more reality changes, the more moldable you are, the more moldable reality is. I feel like the biggest stupidity that we do as people, especially people who want to manifest things into life, that want to, attract good things into their life, is that they are like a rock, but they expect reality to be like clay. But you are a reflection of reality. You and reality is one. Death and life is one. Everything is one. The water flow and the drain is the same freaking thing. If you want reality to be like clay, you have to become like clay. Don't be hypocritical. If you want your reality to be moldable, you have to become moldable. If you want reality to be a specific way, you have to start playing a different freaking music. You have to start channeling a different radio station for yourself. That's the biggest, stupidest thing I noticed with people is that they want their reality to change, but they're not willing to change themselves. They're selfish. They attach themselves to themselves, but and they want things to be different, but they're so attached to themselves that it's just stupid. If you expect your reality to change, you have to change. If you want your reality to be moldable, you have to be moldable. You have to let yourself be crushed and reshaped just as your reality would be. Let's also not forget that we see only very, very small percentage of reality. Like literally very small percentage of reality, and it's scientifical. Like, we literally do not see the whole reality. We barely see a small percentage of it. How can you tell me what reality is? You can be in the same place, in the same situation with a different person, and you and them will see the reality in a two distinctively, completely different ways. Are you aware that you're literally seeing a small percentage of what is actually there? Like, you're literally not capable of perceiving more? Like, reality is so much more than what we think it is. Life is so much more than what we think it is. Especially that personally, I've been extremely passionate about learning more about reality, to the point where I started experimenting with like physical aspects of it. Like, if you know my channel, if you don't, like telekinesis, stuff like that. Like, uh, experimenting with actually influencing physical things in reality with the power of will, blah blah blah. You know the deal. But that teaches me so much about reality, about how less we understand about it, how less of an actual understanding we have about it. We have observation, we have knowledge, but we don't have understanding. And understanding is everything, because when you understand one aspect, you have base points of understanding more things. Because when you understand nature, you start to understand nature and see it in everything. Reality is completely undefined, and I believe we have so much more to learn about it, and there's so much more to understand, and I believe we have so many concepts wrong about it. And it's almost crazy to me how less people actually try to understand reality. Like, yeah, we have science and blah 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 blah, but the actual reality, like actual reality, like, cool, we can know what is the structure of this or that, but actual reality is just so neglected. And I feel like my main way of like understanding it was to just observe it and be it and try to see where it goes. But either way, the conclusion of this video today is basically screw reality.